Alright, hello guys, welcome back to the channel. Today I would like to go through how to improve your gameplay in Yu-Gi-Oh! And in today's episode we are going through the Crimson King structure deck, or Red Dragon Archfiend deck. The cards that you see over here are the core cards that you need in the Crimson King strategy, or the Red Dragon Archfiend strategy, and you can't take any one card out. You probably can have an argument to take out the Resonator Call, but because Resonator Call is basically part of the one card combo, which is Searching Soul Resonator, turning into a 1.5 card combo. It is a consistency card that you just cannot give up, and that's why I opted to have it at 3. So these are all part of the one card combo. So the top row cannot be replaced. Down here, Crimson Resonator, I feel like you need at least 2. You can cut it down to 1, but because your entire strategy revolves around Crimson Resonator, if they DD Crow or Bystial one of it away, your deck completely crumbles. So you kind of want to have a second one just in case. And then Vision Resonator and Synchro Resonator, you really don't need more than 1 in most combos, but I feel like they are also good extenders in hands, so that's why in the deck profile you see I actually run more than 1 of each. Obsessive Ululu is basically already a core card. These two are actually red zone or red screen. You can pick one or the other, or you can pick both. In the deck profile, I did not have red screen, mainly because the card has not arrived yet. But I feel like red screen is the safer card to use, whereas red zone provides more grind game and more power. Moving forward, I will actually probably run both. In case I get hand trapped in the early part of my combo, I can still end with red screen to protect for one more turn. This deck is actually really very grindy and it's really very good when there's more than one turn, thanks to the recursion of Crimson Gaia and also Red Zone if you do have it set up. So red screen can actually help facilitate that. With that said, once you have this basis, this core, you start to want to build on top of this. The first thing I immediately worry about is consistency. So these cards are consistent enough, but they lose to a single hand trap. So you want more cards that will help you combat hand traps. And the first thought that you should go for is to see if there's a way to do it in engine, rather than trying to go for something like cross out immediately. So with that said, I actually opted for one more of each. And there's a reason for this, so I'm just going to explain the reasoning behind this. You can actually decide not to do any of these. Like you can run just the extra crimson and extra vision, or just the extra crimson, or maybe just the extra vision. So the main reasons why I went for an extra Crimson Resonator is because Crimson Resonator plus Bone Archfiend is a really powerful combo, and it's the combo that is the most resilient to hand traps or interruption, and that's the main thing, the main reason why I go for it. Also, if you do run the Supay combo, as in the Supay extenders, which I did in my main deck, Crimson Resonator plus Supay is also full combo, so this actually adds to consistency. That's why I feel Crimson Resonator at 3 is good. Vision Resonator probably will be the first one to have an extra off. The main reason for that is because all you have to do is run Foolish Burial, and suddenly you're not only more resilient to hand traps, but you're also more consistent. If you have 4 dead cards in hand and 1 Foolish Burial, you can activate Foolish Burial, send the Vision Resonator into the graveyard. Vision Resonator then searches out Crimson Gaia. So Vision Resonator can actually search any Red Dragon Archfiend spell or trap as long as it hits the graveyard. It doesn't have to be from the field. As for Synchron Resonator, you can run 2 of these. Typically, if you do a Soul Resonator combo, you won't have a Synchron Resonator in hand, and you'll be using that Synchron Resonator as part of the summon from Crimson Resonator. You do the whole combo and you actually have a second Synchron Resonator in hand. This Synchron Resonator can be summoned from deck, whereas this one can actually be an extender in hand, which can come up, and it does come up when you get interrupted by hand traps. So these three I feel are good first steps to increase the consistency and resilience of the deck. Immediately after that, you want to see if the consistency can be boosted even further, or if the power ceiling can be increased even further by adding other side engine cards. In this case, I find that the next best one immediately is the Supay combo. Optionally, the Bystial package. So between these two, I like them both a lot. So I don't think I'll be removing any of them. But if I were to pick only one or the other, I would pick the Supay lineup. The Bystial package gives you Calamity, but the Supay Dustwalker and Supay engine actually allows you to play through more things. And then next up, I think of non-engine cards. Non-engine cards that would help you survive the turn if you got stopped, or help you play the game if you lose a die roll. In that case, I opted for hand traps as opposed to board breakers, for the specific reason that I'm running Crossout Designator. So this deck is extremely weak to hand traps. It's quite resilient to board breakers, and it can make board breakers absolutely outright bad, depending on what side engines you opt to go for. But regardless of what build you go for, what sub-engine you go for, this deck is extremely weak to hand traps. So I need to cover this weakness even more than I already have with any of these extra in-engine extenders. And because of that, I had to add more hand traps that will cover more of the hand traps that people play. This package can be minimized by removing probably one of this and maybe even a draw if you want to cut down on deck size. But I feel like if I'm playing Crossout anyway, I might as well go for the full coverage. Otherwise, if you choose not to play hand traps, that's also fine. You can also play board breakers, but in that case, I wouldn't recommend running the Crossout package, because Crossout isn't going to do anything when you don't have the hand traps for it. But I would still recommend keeping the Cult by the Grave. So this at the very least, and you can minimize on this by running 3 droplets and probably 3 evenly matched. And after considering all the non-engines and the in-engine extenders, next up you want to see if you can increase the consistency of the deck even further. In this case, I opted for Port of Prosperity because it is extremely good in this deck. You have a lot of extra deck cards that you can actually remove to make, depending on the situation, whether you go first or second, and it increases the consistency of this deck by quite a lot. And I feel like Foolish Burial is the cheapest and easiest way to get consistency as long as you play a second Vision Resonator. But stripping it back down, you start building it from here, possibly with red screen face down, and then you can actually go for even more budget options if you need to. You can even opt to go for Wandering King Wildwind to replace the Supay package, and for a budget alternative to the Bystial package, you can actually run Burning Soul if you want to. I opted to run the Bystial package on top of crossouts and hand traps, mainly because in game 1, the moment I hit my opponent with calamities with the Bystial package, it makes my opponent realize that board breakers are quite risky to use against this deck if they're going second. There's a chance that I might end on calamity and the board breakers do nothing, and they just lose the game outright. So it forces my opponents to side more hand traps in and take their board breakers out. And if I do end up on a board that isn't calamity, at the very least I won't have to worry about board breakers too much. But this also forces my opponents to run hand traps instead, and that is why I decided to go for the crossouts, so that I can cover as much of the hand traps that my opponent may try to interrupt me with. Moving on to the extra deck, I feel like these are the core extra deck cards that you have to keep. This is a bare minimum that you need for the deck. And because this is a pure version of the deck with minimal side engine, I opted to just maximize on Dark Dragon Synchros. Mainly because Red Rising Dragon actually locks you into Dark Dragon Synchros for the entire turn. with Red Supernova Dragon and Calamity being the two main boss monsters you try to end on, Red Supernova Dragon is more crucial in my opinion than Calamity's. Calamity is much more optional. You basically fill out the rest of the slots with utility. Hot Red Dragon Archfiend Bane is pretty good in the grind game. Scarlight for time. Void Ogre if you have a Synchro 8, which you typically will always have, and you expect to have 0 cards in hand, is really good against spell trap decks. And then yeah, in my case, I went for a Red Dragon Archfiend, a secondary Red Dragon Archfiend. The main reason for that is that you can bring this back out with Bystial Disbutter or Red Zone after you banish it with Uvaloop or a Bystial card, and then when it leaves the field again, you can summon a secondary Red Dragon Archfiend. You don't really need a second one. You can actually use Crimson Nova to actually return the Red Dragon Archfiend back to the extra deck, and then Synchro Scarlet Archfiend away to summon the Red Dragon Archfiend again to trigger the destruction. But I feel like having a second Red Dragon Archfiend allows me to use my Crimson Nova to search other cards for the following turns. I then play Chaos Angel as well because I have the Bystial package, which Bystial Lubellion plus a level 2 Dark Tuna means you have a Chaos Angel that protects all of your Synchro monsters from monster effects or battle destruction. But yes, these are optional. There are other options that you can run as well, like Burn the Floor, or you can just increase the counts of whichever card you think you'll need. The card I'd like to talk about now is Vision Resonator. This one card is pretty good to have in your hand as an extra extender. If you have a 1-card combo and you start going through your combo where you activate Crimson Gaia, search Soul Resonator, and then Soul Resonator searches Bone Archfiend, which will then send Crimson Gaia to the graveyard, special summon Bone Archfiend, activate Bone Archfiend targeting Soul Resonator. By sending Crimson Resonator to the graveyard. And then you can Synchro 6 over here. This is the standard combo. So assuming your opponent is familiar with your deck, imperm your Red Rising Dragon. And then when that happens, you can special summon the Vision Resonator from hand. And then at the very least, if you feel like you have no more, if you're not gonna have any more cards in your hand, you can go for a Void Ogre Dragon, or you can try to stall by sitting on a Scar Red Dragon Archfiend, and then your Vision Resonator will then activate, and then you can search Crimson Gaia, you can search Red Zone, or you can search Red Screen. So this will be follow up. Red Zone is if you have a way to banish Dark Synchros. Otherwise, you can search Red Screen. You sit on this, and then you pass. So when your opponent attempts to pop or destroy your Scar Red Dragon Archfiend, at the very least, it floats into a Red Dragon Archfiend, and then you can activate your Red Screen. And they'll need a backdoor removal if they want to kill you this turn. And as long as you survive the turn, there's a chance for you to come back again if you can get access to the Crimson Gaia, and you can start attempting to combo from there. And sometimes you can have an awkward hand, like Bone Archfiend and Vision Resonator. So what you can do when this happens is you can activate Bone Archfiend from hand, and you send Crimson Resonator to the graveyard. Crimson Resonator then searches your Crimson Gaia, and then you can activate Crimson Gaia, search your Soul Resonator. Then Soul Resonator can normal summon activate, and you can search a Synchro Resonator or a Vision Resonator, assuming you play more than one. Otherwise, you can just hold on to that Synchro Resonator, and then activate Bone Archfiend targeting Soul Resonator. Whoops. I meant to send Crimson Resonator. And then over here you can go Red Rising Dragon, target Crimson Resonator, and this is basically full combo. I would like to now go through the situation where you have Bone Archfiend and Crimson Resonator 2-card combo, and then a Supay Dustwalker as an extender, along with 2 other blank cards. So with this hand, you would typically go for Crimson Resonator, normal summon Bone Archfiend, and then you would synchro these two into Red Rising Dragon, and then you activate Red Rising Dragon to special summon Crimson Resonator. You can activate Crimson Resonator here, which would special summon Vision Resonator and a Soul Resonator, which will then add a Synchron Resonator to your hand. Because it is more than 5 summons, if your opponent has nib, they will likely nib you here. So if they do nib you here, and you get your nib token likely in defense, your Vision Resonator, because it's sent to the graveyard, can activate, which will search you your Crimson Gaia. From here, you can activate Crimson Gaia, and then you activate its effect to add Vision Resonator back to hand. And then you activate Supay Dustwalker, sending a blank card to the graveyard to special summon Supay from your deck. You can then Synchro 6 using a Fiend Tuner into a Red Rising Dragon. You can activate Red Rising Dragon to special summon your Crimson Resonator for the graveyard. And then you can Synchro 8 into a Scar Red Dragon Archfiend. Now you have Synchron Resonator and Vision Resonator in your hand because you have a level 5 or higher Dark Monster. You can special summon Vision Resonator from hand. And then if a Synchro monster is on the field, you can special summon Synchron Resonator from your hand. From here, what you can then do is tribute the Nibiru token to special summon the Bone Archfiend. Bone Archfiend can then reduce the level of Scar Red Dragon Archfiend by 1. And you send an Obsessive Ululu to the graveyard. You then synchro the Bone Archfiend and the Vision Resonator away into your 3rd copy of Red Rising Dragon, which will then activate to special summon another Crimson Resonator. And because your Scar Red Dragon Archfiend has been reduced to level 7, you can synchro these two into a Hot Red Dragon Archfiend Abyss. You can activate Scar Red, which would then bring you a Red Dragon Archfiend. You can synchro these two away to get Bystial Lubellion, and then Synchron Resonator can add your Vision Resonator back to hand for follow-up. And then from here you can activate Obsessive Ululu to banish Hot Red. And then you can activate Obsessive Ululu again by banishing Red Rising. From here, Bystial Lubellion can special summon your Hot Red back to the field. And then Obsessive Ululu can synchro with Red Rising into Hot Red Dragon Archfiend Bane. It's another body, but also you can activate this to tribute your Red Dragon Archfiend to bring back your Scar Red so you don't actually destroy your own field. So this is just one extender, which is Supay Dustwalker with a 2-card combo on a nib. You've only lost out on a Red Zone and Red Supernova Dragon, but you still have Abyss, Disputter, and then 2 more bodies for follow-up. If you also hard open Red Zone, then your Scar Red, being a Red Dragon Archfiend in name, would also come up. So this is another example where having one other extender can help push through the same interruption, but instead of using Supay Dustwalker, this is the other side engine, the Bystial package, with the 2-card combo as an example. So you can special summon Crimson Resonator, normal summon Bone Archfiend, go through the same steps, synchro into Red Rising Dragon, activating Red Rising Dragon special summon Crimson Resonator, which will then activate to special summon Vision Resonator and Soul Resonator, which will then activate to give you your Synchron Resonator in hand. So this is above 5 summons, and this is where your opponent nibs you, for example. And you get a nib token in defense over here. So what you can do from here is that Vision Resonator will trigger, giving you Crimson Gaia. You can then activate Crimson Gaia, bring Vision Resonator back to hand. Here you can activate Bystial Lubellion, and because there's a level 5 or higher dark monster, you can special summon Vision Resonator from your hand, and then from here you can special summon Lubellion by sending Serener to graveyard, activate Serener's effect, which would get the other copy of Lubellion out of your deck so you don't draw into it, and then you can activate Lubellion to get a 2 out of your deck. From here you can then Synchro 10 into Bystial Despotter. You can't go into Chaos Angel in this case, mainly because Red Rising Dragon has already activated and resolved. So we are now locked into Dark Dragon Synchro monsters. And from here, you can then special summon Synchro Resonator because Bystial Lubellion is a Synchro monster that's on the field. You can tribute token to special summon Bone Archfiend from the graveyard. Activate Bone Archfiend targeting Bystial Despotter, lowering its level by 1 by sending Obsessive Uvu Loop to the graveyard. Activate Bystial Despotter to special summon Crimson Resonator. Synchro 6 into Red Rising Dragon. Activate the effect to special summon a level 2 tuner, it doesn't matter which. Synchro 8 to go into Scar Red. And from here, you can then synchro into your HUD Red, activating Chainlinks 1, and then Chainlink 2 Scar Red. To bring out Red Dragon Archfiend, and Synchron Resonator can bring back Vision Resonator for follow-up. You can then activate Obsessive Uvu Loop, adding this back to hand by banishing Red Rising Dragon. And in this position, you now have Hot Red Dragon Archfiend Abyss and also Bystial Despotter with a banished card for your Bystial Despotter as well. Overall, how you use your extenders really depends on how your opponent chooses to interrupt your cards. So my best recommendation to improve on your gameplay is to keep practicing and experience different situations where you get interactions in different parts of your combo and learning to adapt to those. The examples here are just a guideline on how you would want to react when your opponent plays any interactions against you in the middle of the combo. And with that, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you guys found this video helpful, please like and subscribe. I would really appreciate that. And with that said, see ya.